reason why you feel hurt or bothered after dealing with a narcissist is because you think you could have done something different or something more. You think that it was because of something you did or didn't do. And that is exactly what they like you to think. Because then it takes the heat off of them. And then they can relax. But what you need to understand is that what happened between you and them was not an isolated incident. They've had many failed relationships before you. And they're going to have many more failed relationships after you're gone. But you couldn't see it at the time. Because they were constantly blaming you. They were saying that you were the problem. But if you were a fly on the wall in the other situations in their lives, if you could take a look at their interactions with other people in their past, and you heard other people's stories and what other people have to say about them, especially people who they no longer talk to, you would have a very different perspective of them. Because although you may have opened up to them and told them everything that went on in your life, they never told you anything. You didn't know anything about them because they have a lot to hide. They have a lot of things that they don't want you to know, which is why they always try to put the focus on you. They try to blame you for everything because otherwise it would open Pandora's box. It would generate many complicated problems for them. Which is why they have to hide behind a mask. So that you don't see who they really are. But what they've been doing to you is exactly what they've been doing to other people before you. That's why they're so good at it. Because they've had a lot of practice. They've had plenty of time to perfect their manipulation, which is why it will seem like they're masters of their craft. Because they've already used it on many other people before you. They've love bombed other people and then they devalued and discarded them. But once it happens to you and you move on, you don't know where they go after you're gone. You don't know what they're doing or who they're with. Especially if you moved on and you're happy. Then they don't want to hear from you. Because if they do, it will only irritate them. Because you're in a better position than they are. So they will keep out of sight. They will avoid detection and attention. They will go into hiding. Because they've got to recover from their injuries and hurt feelings. They've got to get back their strength after their defeat. Because they messed up again. Everything they touch falls apart. It always goes wrong in the end. And they're very self-conscious. So they get embarrassed. They don't want you to see their omission of expected or required action because they want you to think that everything's fine. That's why they put up these posts on social media and you see their false smiles as though they're happy without you because that's what they want you to think. But that's not how it pans out for them in reality. Because they're stuck in an endless pattern of behavior and it's inflexible so they can't change or adapt. Which is why time will reveal everything. Because if you checked back in with them after a few months and saw the other relationships or situations that they are in, you would see the exact same thing you went through. That's how they're so good at it. Because they've done it before. The length of the relationship just depends on how much you're willing to tolerate. Which is why they will eventually deliberately stay out of contact with you on their own. And yet, many of you will wonder why they're not hoovering you. But if you're doing better and you're happier without them, that is the last thing they're going to do. Because they don't want to give you the satisfaction of having to watch you be better than them. It's an unpleasant fact and situation that they don't want to accept. So they will stay low. They will be quiet. And they won't seem very forceful, emotional, or noticeable, so that they don't draw too much attention to themselves. Because they already know that they made a big mistake to where they can't get you back. They know they've done things that may be a deal breaker to you, things that may be important to you. So they know they can't come back. They know you're not going to take them seriously after that. So they will disappear. You won't hear from them. Because the possibility of them winning you over and compensating for their faults is hardly anything. They know that they have no chance of doing that, especially when you already know what they're about. When you already know what to expect from them. So their only choice is to leave you alone. And it should help you to focus on things that should be more important, because it confirms something to you. It validates everything that you experienced with them when you see what they're doing after you're gone and what is going on with them, because they end up in a worse situation than what they had with you. So of course they're not going to come back after they've already taken a fall, after they've made a loss. That's embarrassing for them. They don't have the same bold self-assurance of style and manner as you do. They're very insecure because they're not as attractive, pleasing, interesting, or enjoyable as they were before, and they're aware of that. So now all they can do is accept something unpleasant and difficult, and they just have to keep out of sight. They have to go into hiding because that's all they can do. But just know that you weren't the only one. It wasn't their first rodeo. They've done the same thing with other people before you, and they're going to do it again after you're gone. They're constantly failing. And they tend to end up in a worse situation after leaving you. They always downgrade. Because they're on a path of self-destruction, they behave recklessly and impulsively. They're always acting on their unstable emotions. So there's no telling where they might end up next, but it's going to be a worse situation than what they had with you. They get worse with age. Narcissists always lose in the end. It's not just something that happened with you. That wasn't an isolated incident. If you could be a fly on the wall, if you could see how they are or how they've been with other people before you, it would all make sense to you. You would see how they could treat you in that way. Because they've had years of practice of perfecting their craft of manipulation. They've done this to many people before you, whether it's co-workers or their family or friends. Which is why if you observe their situation later down the line, you will see that they're doing the same thing to someone else. And now someone else is experiencing a loss. Someone else is going through the exact same thing that you went through. So it wasn't just you. And when you realize that, you will be able to see outside of your own perspective, because some of them end up drinking excessive amounts of alcohol or doing drugs. Some of them end up getting married or having children, and then that goes wrong as well, until they become physically weak. They can't deal with things anymore. They've got no fight left in them, so they're quick to backtrack or withdraw. They're quick to give up on the very things that should be most important to them, because by that point they've learned to not value anything in life. Since everything seems to fall apart, because in the end they just end up harming themselves. And if you're still around them, then you will get caught up in that. Narcissists often look like they're gaining or resulting in a victory. They may appear as attractive and endearing, engaging, charming and appealing. They may look like they're going somewhere, and it may look like they've won, which may seem contradictory. Because of course the whole point of them being narcissists is that they can't be successful over a long period of time. They can't produce anything good. They can't be productive. Because they have this disorder that prevents them from doing that. It results in a lack of order and regular arrangement. And it's meant to cause them difficulty, distress, impairment and suffering in their daily lives. But it won't always appear that way, because many of them have enablers. They have people who support the illusion, people who make their success possible. But they also encourage and enable the narcissist's negative and self-destructive behavior. And these people may not always be narcissists, but they do have their own issues. They're insecure and they have low self-esteem, which brings them together with the narcissist. And it may look like a perfect match, because they have this desire to make the narcissist happy. They have this desire to validate them. But the narcissist also has to keep them under their influence and control. And they do that by using other enablers, other people who support the illusion, because these types of enablers keep other enablers under control. They keep them in order and in check. They keep them conforming with rules, with a set of understood regulations or principles governing their conduct and procedure, which works perfectly for the narcissist, for the individual who is self-absorbed and lacks empathy, and just wants all of the attention and praise for themselves, because then they can get that for themselves with minimal time and effort, while everyone else has to deal with all of the problems. Which is the clever part about the illusion, because it makes the narcissist look great, while making everyone else look bad, because everyone else is trying to harm your reputation. They're trying to insult or discredit you. They're keeping things in a state of complete confusion and disorder, while everyone's left to assume that the only good person left is the narcissist, the person who isn't actively engaged in or opposed to the dysfunctional behavior. Because the way that they control people is by generating fake problems to create conflict so that the real problems are never identified and then they can never be solved. Because they don't want it to come out. If it did, it would threaten their position. It would threaten their comfort, health, and happiness. Some enablers may have an inability or a refusal to accept that it is in fact the narcissist who is abusive, while other enablers may catch on and realize that something is wrong, which is why they have to have something to keep them in check and under control. And to do this, they get them to fight against each other, because that then reduces and prevents what would otherwise be bad or undesirable for them by giving the enablers an involvement in the illusion, so that they will defend it at all costs, without realizing that the narcissist is just sitting back and watching everything play out. It's a highly skilled form of manipulation, because they're defending the illusion without even realizing that it exists. And there are people who create the illusion who aren't even bothered about it. They don't even care. While it's destroying everyone, and it's even destroying the narcissist. But narcissists thrive in dysfunction. They're quite comfortable with it. They like their disorder. They like how it works. They like how it gets them the things that they need. But it's very inconvenient for the enablers, because it makes it difficult for them to get along with other people. So now they can't get anything done, as long as the illusion is present, because the illusion requires them to be incompetent. It requires everything to be mismanaged. And at the same time, they can't even acknowledge it. But then they have to defend it at the same time, because they're terrified that everything will fall apart. But really they're just afraid of what the narcissist will do if the illusion is threatened. So they have no choice but to support it, because the last thing they want is for the illusion to be shown for what it actually is. If that were to happen, they would suddenly lose control and become very angry, because deep down they already know that it isn't real. They already know that they're defending something that doesn't even exist, but they want to keep it going because it benefits them to do so. So they will resort to some crazy, foolish tactics to keep the illusion going. But it's only because they're scared. It's the narcissist who is generating this confusion and disorder by maintaining their own deceptive outward appearance. And they're using the enablers to do their bidding, while fooling them, which turns into a cult, a system of belief, while at the same time they're not even thinking of it like that. But to maintain the illusion, it does require a lot of work. It requires a lot of physical and mental effort in order to achieve their purpose and result, because there are a lot of tasks to be undertaken, so they're constantly engaged in physical and mental activity, so this machine and system will function properly and effectively, so that it will perform the way that they want it to and produce the desired effect. But it's actually purposeless and unnecessary, because it's not desirable or optimistic. It doesn't do any good. It's pessimistic, defeatist, gloomy and bleak. It renders anything positive or productive ineffective. It just makes things worse. It intensifies people's negative aspects. It brings out the worst in people. It amplifies everything that's bad about them instead of promoting their good qualities, until everything blows up, because in the end the illusion falls apart. They end up causing serious harm to themselves, and that is inescapable. It's an inevitable result. because it is just an illusion. It may look sophisticated, but it actually looks a lot greater than what it actually is. It tricks you for a while. It makes you think that everything is in order. But once you start to get good at noticing the details and making judgments about it, at that point the battle is lost for them. Because they can't adapt everything for use in a different purpose than what was originally intended. They can try to avoid directing any of your attention towards it. They can try to fool you by giving you little twists and turns. But at the end of the day, there's only one way it can go. There's still going to be narcissists, and they're going to keep acting like narcissists. And there's nothing they can do about it. So they've already lost, even if they haven't realized it. After the narcissist rejected you, or refused to do something because they were too proud, after they expressed contempt and disdain for you, you finally get the satisfaction of success by succeeding when they thought you would not, while they look foolish after they criticized and opposed you. At first, you may be very confused, because you're wondering what is so good about this next situation. What makes it so much better than what they had with you? You may see that they're tolerating things that they wouldn't tolerate with you. You may see that they're doing things they didn't do with you. You may have been very organized and prepared and in a better state of life. You may have lived in a good and sensible way. You may have strived to reach your goals through effort and determination, and you had everything under control. But this new person isn't on your level, because what you didn't realize at the time is that the narcissist wasn't on your level as well. They got lucky with you, and you didn't see it because you overcompensated for their shortcomings. You took excessive measures to correct and make amends for their errors, weaknesses, and problems. You invested all of your time, money, and energy into something that was not as valuable as you are, because they managed to get involved with you by talking and making you believe that they can do something, or by making you believe that something is true about themselves. They spoke very convincingly about their plans, abilities, and intentions, but they weren't of the same value or quality as you are. People will ultimately seek out others who are of the same value and quality, people who are similar to themselves. They will eventually gravitate towards others who have similar opinions, ideas, and interests. They may have played a role with you and acted like there was something else with you, but they will eventually gravitate back to those same types of people, and it may shock and surprise you. But that's because you overlooked the people that they were associating with, which should have revealed to you if they were on the same level as you. It should have revealed to you if they shared the same values and beliefs. It should have revealed to you if you had something in common before you accommodated them in your life. Because you can tell a lot about a person by the people with whom they associate and spend time with. If you know who a person's friends and associates are, you should know what their character is. Because like minds stick together. But if they're a narcissist, they will say that they like the same things as you do, to confuse and mislead you, to build a false connection, to make you accept them. Where although something may seem off about them, you make an exception for them, you give them a chance, because they're claiming to have similar likes and interests, or as though you have introduced them to something that they now like. It's fake, but it works. It makes you want to accept them. But if they were really a high-value person, if they were everything they led you to believe, they would never reduce to a lower position or level of importance. They wouldn't settle for less. They wouldn't feel comfortable. If they were being real with you, if they were really who they said they were, but they're not really settling for less. They're accepting something that is at their own level, because they never had the qualities or skills to be involved with you in the first place. They just dealt with you in a dishonest way, and they got you to believe in them. They got you to trust them, and that is how you chose them. Even though they don't have the qualities or skills to maintain a relationship. They tricked you. Which is why as time goes by, it reveals their deficiencies and inadequacies. Their performance starts to decline. You're not getting what you thought you were getting. They're falling behind. Because they don't have the qualities and skills to be efficient enough at maintaining a relationship with you. So it starts to have an effect on them. It's too much for them to manage. It starts to be an irritating inconvenience to them. It starts to cause them difficulty and trouble, which results in problems and arguments, until it makes them very tired and less able to deal with the situation, until they no longer want to put on an act. They like the payout, but it's not a good position for them. They're not up to the mark. They're not good enough for it. So eventually, they will fail to participate. They will blow you off. They will become unavailable, because they never had the necessary qualities and skills for the position of being with you in the first place. Which is why you saw a gradual decline in their performance. Which is why they couldn't maintain composure to avoid an overly emotional reaction. Which is why you couldn't stay together and continue having a good relationship. Because they weren't how they used to be in the beginning. They couldn't meet your requirements and expectations. There was a gradual decline in their performance. And that is why they ended up ghosting you. Because they knew it was only a matter of time until the ship would sink, with them as the captain. So they had to get out of there. They had to go somewhere where there was less requirements, where there was lower standards, where people didn't expect so much from them. And that is why you end up seeing them with someone who is below the standard you expected. someone who is not at the level that you were when they were with you, because they drop down to a level that is easier for them to control, a level that they can deal with without difficulty, because being with you was higher than their ability. They wanted the benefits and conveniences, but they were never at the expected standard to be in that position. Thank you for watching. I hope this video resonated with you. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you would like to donate, my PayPal link is in the video description. Coaching inquiries, you can email me at coaching@narcsurvivor.co.uk. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.